The night shift had just begun, and the city outside pulsed with a cold, blue glow that spilled through the glass walls of the corporate tower. Inside, the world felt different, sterile, silent, and far removed from the lives of the people who kept it shining. Ivan pushed his mop across the marble floor, the faint squeak echoing in the empty lobby. His uniform was clean but worn at the edges, his movements steady and practiced. Every night was the same: come in, clean up the mess left behind by men in expensive suits, and leave before dawn, unseen and unheard. He was a tall man, though the weight of years had softened his shoulders. A ring mark lingered on his finger, a reminder of the life he once had before the world took his wife and left him with a daughter to raise alone. He didn't complain. He had long accepted that dignity wasn't in the job title but in how a man carried himself. The elevator chimed behind him, breaking the silence. Ivan didn't look up at first, thinking it was another late working executive. But the sharp echo of polished shoes on marble made him pause. Then came the voice, smooth, confident, and laced with arrogance. "Who approved you working here this late?" Ivan turned slightly. Standing before him was Leonard Blake, the company's billionaire director. His tailored suit looked more expensive than Ivan's monthly salary, his wristwatch gleaming under the lobby lights. Leonard studied him with thinly veiled disdain, as if the janitor's mere presence stained the floor he walked on. "I'm just finishing up, sir," Ivan said quietly, moving the mop aside. Leonard's lips curved into a smirk. "Finishing up? It doesn't look like you even started. Look at this floor. You missed half the spots. Do you even know what you're doing? Or do they just hire anyone off the streets now?" The words hit harder than Ivan expected, though he didn't flinch. He'd been spoken to like that before, by men who thought wealth made them more human. His jaw tightened, but his eyes remained calm, steady, unyielding. He lowered his gaze and continued mopping. Leonard watched him, clearly irritated by the man's quiet composure. "Don't just stand there," he snapped. "Clean properly. I want this floor to shine when the board arrives tomorrow morning. That's if you want to keep your job." Ivan said nothing. The billionaire huffed, brushing imaginary dust from his sleeve, and turned toward the elevators again. But as Ivan reached forward with the mop, his sleeve rode up slightly, revealing the edge of a tattoo, dark, precise lines forming a crest that shimmered faintly in the light. Leonard stopped mid-step. His expression changed instantly. He recognized that symbol, a falcon with its wings spread over a shield, the emblem of a special forces unit that didn't officially exist. His chest tightened as the memory flashed back: a foreign battlefield, an ambush, gunfire slicing through the air. And a soldier who had pulled him from the wreckage, bleeding but unyielding, with that same mark burned into his arm. The janitor noticed the shift in Leonard's tone, the sudden silence behind him, but said nothing. He wrung out the mop, his movements slow, deliberate, as if unaware of the storm brewing behind him. Leonard's voice came out smaller, uncertain. "That tattoo, where did you get it?" Ivan paused, turned slightly, and met his gaze. For the first time, Leonard saw something in the janitor's eyes that unsettled him. Not submission, but quiet strength, the kind forged in places where titles and money meant nothing. "Long time ago," Ivan said simply, and returned to his work. Leonard stood frozen, his heart pounding as the realization sank in. The man he had just insulted wasn't just a janitor. He was the same man who had once saved his life. The next morning, the tension inside the executive tower was different. The usual rhythm of clicking heels and hushed conversations couldn't drown out the unease that hung in the air. Word had spread quietly: the CEO had called in the night janitor for a private meeting. Nobody understood why, but whispers followed Ivan as he made his way to the top floor, wearing the same gray uniform he had worn for years. He walked calmly, pushing his cart down the polished hallway that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, past walls lined with portraits of powerful men who had never lifted anything heavier than a pen. The secretary at the end of the hall looked up as Ivan approached. "Mr. Blake is expecting you," she said softly, her tone carrying both curiosity and confusion. Ivan nodded once and stepped through the glass doors. Leonard Blake's office was vast, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a desk of polished walnut that gleamed like a mirror, and a skyline that stretched endlessly beyond him. Leonard stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back, staring out at the gray horizon. He didn't turn right away. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, lower, almost hesitant. I didn't sleep last night, he said. That tattoo on your arm, I couldn't get it out of my head. Ivan remained silent, standing by the doorway, the sunlight catching the faint lines on his face. He wasn't intimidated by the room or the power it represented. He had seen bigger men crumble under pressure before. Leonard finally turned to face him. His arrogance from the night before had evaporated. Tell me, he asked, almost pleadingly, where did you get it? Ivan met his gaze. I earned it, he replied evenly. Before I worked here, I was with the 12th Special Operations Group. I did my part, then I left. Leonard blinked, his throat tightening. That unit, it doesn't exist on record. That's right, Ivan said quietly. And it's better that way. For a moment, Leonard didn't know what to say. Then a memory cut through the silence, the smell of smoke, the roar of gunfire, a night when he had been a much younger man hiding under a burning convoy, bleeding and terrified. A soldier had dragged him out through the chaos, covering him with his own body as bullets rained down. He remembered the tattoo, the same falcon crest. You were, Sergeant Volkov, Leonard whispered, the name surfacing from the depths of memory. Ivan nodded slightly. You were the diplomat we were ordered to protect. You were unconscious by the time we got you to safety. I didn't think you'd remember. Leonard sank into his chair, the weight of shame pressing down on him. The realization hit hard. The man he had belittled, mocked, and dismissed as nothing more than a janitor had once risked his life to save him. I didn't know, Leonard said quietly. If I had, Ivan interrupted, his voice calm but firm. It wouldn't have changed how you spoke. That's the problem. You think respect is earned by position. But real respect is how you treat people when you think they're beneath you. The words lingered in the air, heavier than any accusation. Leonard looked down at his desk, unable to meet Ivan's eyes. The silence stretched long and deep, broken only by the faint hum of the city below. Ivan turned toward the door. I don't need your apology, he said. I clean floors now because it's honest work. I've seen what happens when men forget what honesty looks like. He reached for the handle, paused, then added quietly, you're still alive, Mr. Blake. Maybe you can start over too. Leonard watched him leave, the door closing softly behind him. For a long moment, he sat motionless, staring at the empty space where Ivan had stood. The billionaire, surrounded by glass and gold, felt smaller than he ever had before. The world outside gleamed in the morning sun, but inside the office, the shine had dimmed, replaced by a heavy, unshakable truth.